Welcome to the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin, along with our co-host,
Austin from Ajax, baby. We're back.
All right, so Austin Ajax, just talking to the mic. You're a little low there. I need all guns a-blazing on this one. This is the Super Bowl edition of the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. Some might say the Super Bowl of podcasts. This is the episode. This is the one to tune into. We've done our homework. We're going to bring you focus on everything Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the spread. We're going to talk about the over-unders. I got to say the props are probably the big one here that we're going to go in and really dive into. And the Super Bowl brings a whole special set of props to really focus on, and we'll share them here today. And we're going to give us, we're going to talk about props. We're going to give us our favorable props, let's say, and really what props we're banking on to pay off. And we'll even throw in the lady from upstairs who's provided us with some halftime and other novelty plays that she picked out and provided, and we'll share those as well. Austin, out of 10 right now, what excitement level do you have heading into tomorrow, 24 hours away?
I would say it's about an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Is it up or down compared to when we talked last week? I can't remember what you said. I think it was 8.5 you mentioned last week.
I would say if it was 8.5 last week, I guess I'm down. But I mean, I feel pretty consistent to last week. I've done my research. I've formulated more of a prediction on the game. My prediction, I guess, wouldn't make it extremely the most entertaining scenario. Maybe that's why it's not an 8. And it is an 8 and not a 10. But I'm definitely excited to watch that game tomorrow, eat some chicken wings, drink some beer. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, it should be a great time, but I think your point's bang on is, you want the game to be a shootout, but probably the feeling is it might be a defensive turnover battle potentially. We'll get into it. We haven't pre-discussed this, but it sounds like you're going down that road. We'll get into that. And do you think the game itself, everybody said they were tired of Patrick Mahomes being in the Super Bowl, but do you think this game misses a Patrick Mahomes type guy in the Super Bowl?
I don't think so, because you know what? On both sides you have great stories, and I think that's what it's all about. You have Sam Darnold coming from the Vikings. He led that team to 14-4, and now that team fell off a cliff. He's on the Super Bowl Seattle Seahawks. You know what I mean? And then you have the Patriots, Drake May, runner up for MVP, carrying this team who is 50-1 to win this thing. So I think, there's nothing wrong to take a little break from the superstar quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and give some other guys a chance. Jalen Hurts as well.
Right. And then speaking of that, so we predicted long ago that Matthew Stafford would take home the MVP, which he did on Thursday night. And we talked about Drake May being a distant second leading into the vote. Turns out he was pretty darn close. I think it was a vote away from capturing the MVP himself. Matthew Stafford did win it, but it was quite a close vote. And what are your thoughts on that? Were you surprised it was quite close?
Well, I thought it was crazy that it was that close. I do think Stafford deserved a little more respect. I wouldn't. At the end of the day, I told you guys I wouldn't have been surprised if Drake May won it. But something we have to talk about is some of the other guys who are voted for. Justin Herbert getting multiple votes. It's like that just boggles my mind. But I thought Stafford was a clear MVP. I thought that all the way up into the end, he was, he'd have 4 straight games without a turnover. And Drake May, amazing season. But, Stafford's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he got the job done at 37 years old.
Wow. I mean, the voting community, the folks that have the power for these votes, whether it be MVP race or Hall of Fame, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I didn't pick up on it, but when you said Justin Herbert was thrown a vote for MVP, like what's the rationale? How does somebody who obviously has media credentials, access, has probably data that we don't have, resources, and 2 eyes, and they're throwing votes to Justin Herbert? All right, Herbert, fantastic. You know what I mean? Definitely a top, I don't know, we say top 5 or top 10 quarterback, whatever it is. No question. But to go into a vote like this and not maybe him and Haw between Stafford and May, but go to Herbert, that's insane. That's ridiculous and stupid. And then you got your Hall of Fame situation. We discussed it last week, the Bill Belichick, not a first-year Hall of Famer, and then Robert Kraft not even getting in. It doesn't make any sense, and it's shooting the credibility, anything voting as far as the NFL goes.
Did you hear what Rob Gronkowski had to say?
I think I did, but remind me.
He said,
Oh, yeah.
he said, could you imagine how many Super Bowls I would have if I had a Hall of Fame coach?
See, that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob. Yeah, and Rob. He was asked. Just speaking of the Patriots of the old, Brady got in a little hot water with his ex teammates by not taking a side. He was saying he was neutral on this one, right, between the Pats, and the Seahawks, and then he kind of changed it up where he's leaning toward the Patriots. But interesting stuff, man. This is again, my excitement level's probably at the 8 like you are, but I'll tell you, it was like 6.5 and 7 leading up to this morning. Just nothing seems to be going on. Nothing significant. No stories that really jump out that developed over the 2 weeks. I thought we'd really see something, especially this week heading into media day and all the events that go on leading up to the Super Bowl. But really, it's been pretty flat. Not a lot of talking points. But going through, I've tracked the line, I've tracked props throughout the whole week and try to catch some of the changes that I really dove in this morning, and it really got me going, really thinking. Felt like we had to push the time of the podcast back multiple times because I just wasn't done, right? We talked about using multiple books. So when I reference our plays here today or discussion on the picks, I've sifted through 3 different books. Honestly, I can't go through 8, 9 books. It's like to keep up. It's impossible unless there's some like website out there that allows prop, in one shot. You can see them. I just don't know what that is. But I used Bet365, FanDuel predominantly, and DraftKings. And what I did notice is that, and I didn't think about it, but this is an opportunity right now for those who are looking to bet because it's the Super Bowl. Maybe this is the only time you bet. That to really look at the offers out there on each of these sites. So a lot of them are doing a match. DraftKings, man, I got it mixed up here. I should have wrote it down, but I believe DraftKings has a match. No, do they have a bonus bet or whatever? And then Bet365 has the matching, so you deposit and match. And then I don't know if you got any as an existing customer. I know FanDuel suckered me in this week by providing a 50% deposit bonus. So if you upload, they give you up to $750 worth of free plays, and that really suckers you in because then you're going to load up all your bankroll in the one book. So they got me. I'm guilty. That didn't stop me from looking at the books, but did you see any offers out there that intrigued you, whether it be for a site that you don't use today that may have intrigued you to get in there and sign up, or anything on the sites you do use that you've taken advantage of so far?
Honestly, not more than I mentioned, other than last week with the splitting of the coin cost money on FanDuel that they have offered. FanDuel offered or threw me a free $20 bet, so I'll definitely be throwing that into a parlay or something along those lines. But nothing too crazy that stood out to me other than these 50% 3-leg parlays. But that seems pretty standard on a week to week basis. But I think during the Super Bowl you still take advantage of those.
And then, you take advantage of them. But really, from the prop market, I can't stress enough, and I think we did also stress this last week, is you really got to do your shopping. There is differences in a few yards, maybe significant yardage, or a lot of the receiving, rushing props that or juice. The juice might be better at some books than others that you really want to take advantage of, because it may come down, like it always does, is to 1 or 2 yards as a make or break in your bet. So we'll get into that. We're going to get into that now. Man, where do we start? We're gonna go through this. This probably will be a lengthier podcast compared to the other podcasts, since there is no football after tomorrow, and we'll see what happens with the podcast itself. But you can follow the Overrated Experience at Overrated EXPER2. That's Overrated EXPER2. Unfortunately, Austin, from Ajax, I didn't get anybody reaching out demanding your presence on X, so I'm hoping another shout out to reach out to the Overrated Experience over X to demand the voice of Austin from Ajax present itself out in social media. I know you're declined that offer, but the public will speak. And you will be on X. I feel it. This is the podcast. We're going to force those customers, those audience members, to demand, or they're going to show up at your door with torches and pitchforks.
Hey, I told you 5 signatures and I'll sign up.
5 signatures. Okay, so that seems reasonable. So the public, let's get your act together and start hitting us up, following us on X, and mentioning that you demand Austin from Ajax builds his profile and gets on social media. That's what we want to hear. So let's kick it off with the simple everybody is going to talk about, and that is the spread, and that is the over-under. We'll kick that conversation off. And honestly, this really hasn't been a line that's moved. I am shocked. I thought we would see it go up or down, but it's been pretty steady at 4.5. 4.5 on all sites. So if I look at 365, FanDuel, DraftKings, all of them have the game at 4.5. Minus 110. FanDuel has the juice on the under at the Patriots covered at minus 108, minus 112 to cover the spread for the Seahawks. Not really a significant difference here. The over-unders, like I said, are 45.5, solid across the board. All right, let's kick it off here. What are your initial thoughts? Are you surprised the line stayed pretty stagnant over the last 2 weeks, or is it right where it needs to be?
So me personally, my thoughts on this spread have changed. Last week I was saying 4.5 is pretty locked in, and obviously the lines or the people in the line makers seems to have gotten it right because it's still 4.5. I doubt we have any changes by now, but who knows? Money in briefcases can change things.
Just can.
But honestly, I've taken a step back and looked at this game, and I now think honestly, I guess given this spread, I got to tell how I think this game is going to go. I think that the Seahawks are going to win by double digits in this game.
Ooh.
I think if I was the line maker, it wouldn't be 4.5, it'd be 6.5 because I'm saying they're a touchdown better. But I think they're going to win this football game by 2 touchdowns. So I think, I think you take advantage of this 4.5 line. I think the Seahawks are at least a touchdown better, if not 2. So I'm going to say that the line's wrong.
Okay, I like it. That's what we want to hear here. You see this line as a big mistake. Have you jumped on it yet?
I mean, a little bit. Nothing serious, but
okay.
I think I'm actually going to focus more, just like a smaller bet on actually them winning by double digits, like let's say minus 9.5. So that's kind of the minus 9.5 is kind of what I'm focused on. I know it's a little crazy, a little ballsy, but I just have a feeling that's the way this game is going to go. I also do, this whole year been going on, big Darnold guy, big supporter of Sam Darnold.
We heard.
And I think I have genuine excitement. That's one of my favorite things about the Super Bowl. It's like if Sam Darnold, and they're the favorites already, but if it's like they get it done, it's like I think obviously Sam Darnold gets a lot of respect. He is a massive part of this team's success, of course.
So I got to assume that your thought that the Seahawks are pretty much going to run the table here, they're going to win by double digits, has shaped your plays that we're going to hear as the podcast develops. Is that accurate?
Yes, but I also made sure for people that want to go on the side of the Patriots, to have a couple of Patriots props that I think are going to come through as well.
Patriots props. Got it. And then I guess the way I look at this is that I came in this morning all week, and if anybody asked me what side I like, I said, look, I just got this feeling that the Seahawks are going to smash the Patriots right now. They're a juggernaut. But I always had the comment as well that I have the right to change my mind. So I'm not locked in until kickoff. And then when I was going through these plays and kind of finalizing them this morning, I was looking at it. I crossed, I put the big, highlighter on the Seahawks to cover that 4.5. And then I was going through the props. Patriot players started popping up. I felt that they were undervalued, and I'll get into what those are in a bit. And then I'm like, well, maybe they can hang in this game. Am I ready to say Patriots money line? Absolutely not. But will I be surprised that this is a 3 or 4 point game? I tend to think so. So now I've switched to that the Patriots will cover. I feel that it does hinge on your boy shit in the bed, right? Like, Darnold. Like, I mean, I feel like that is part of what I'm banking on, that he's going to feel that pressure. He's going to turn the ball over early in the game, and he's going to have like flashbacks of being in a Jets uniform and a Carolina uniform and like a newspaper headline that this guy's a bust. And it's going to come and hit him, and he's going to be shell-shocked the rest of the game. He's going to have like multiple turnovers. But yeah, so we look at things a little differently here. I think the Patriots keep this close, and I believe that over-under-wise, I want to say over. I'll say over, but that's with my heart. That's with my, I'm sitting there watching. I don't want to have like it's field goal fest. So I'm going to say over, but I'm not going to promote it that I feel very good about it. What's your thoughts on the over under?
So I'm actually taking the over, but I'll actually give you my exact score prediction for the game. So I think the Seahawks are going to win this game 31-17. So that puts the game at
31-17. Okay.
Yeah, so that puts the point total of the game at 48. So I'm going with the over 45.5. Like I said, I think the Seahawks are going to win by 2 touchdowns. I think, I have a feeling the way the game's going to play out early in the game, maybe tied at a touchdown, and then I see the Seahawks taking the lead in the second quarter and running away with it.
Okay, that's a good point. Let's try to predict the score here. So I'm going to say 24-21 Seahawks. Just under. No, I can't do that because I said the over. So let's do this. Let's do 27-24. Seahawks.
24. Seahawks. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of our initial thoughts here on the big normal plays. That is the spread, and that is the over-under. Let's talk about commitments here. You committed as a non-Filet-O-Fish guy to remind the audience what's on the line here.
So if Sam Darnold wins MVP and the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, I will eat a double Filet-O-Fish patty.
Okay.
Not patty, sorry, patty burger on the podcast.
In full.
In full. And I've even upped the challenge to try to finish it in under a minute, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right. So that's the challenge has been provided. The lines are drawn, so you're committed to it. It's on public record right now for the millions listening at home, our live streaming audience on YouTube and Facebook. So thank you for those out there. We appreciate you guys joining us. Also, let's get into the MVP discussion right now. So obviously, one of the big bets is the focus on who will take home Super Bowl MVP. I mean, it could be anybody. You never know what's going to happen, who's going to stand out. But I really have noted down 4 players here to discuss, and you can obviously throw in any candidate for MVP and value you see for anybody I didn't mention. But you have Sam Darnold, and I couldn't, for whatever reason, for Bet365, I couldn't find the MVP list. So I'm using DK and FanDuel here. So Sam Darnold on DK is plus 120. And FanDuel is only plus 115. So obviously, if you do like Sam Darnold and you're ready to wager, DraftKings is the place to go if you had to use those 2 sites. Drake May, plus 240 on DraftKings, plus 230 on FanDuel. Still, again, better value on DraftKings. And Jigba, Jackson Smith and Jigba, plus 500 on DK, but better value on FanDuel, applies plus 550. And equal at plus 850, Kenneth Walker III. Those are the 4 I've jotted down here. Any discussion on those 4, who you think is going to take it home, or is there another candidate that you see potentially taking home the MVP?
So I feel like sometimes betting these MVPs for a single game can be a bit of a crapshoot. So I didn't ask myself, who's most likely to win. I looked at these numbers and I said, what brings me the greatest value? What number do I think is the greatest discount? Using the FanDuel spread, I think JSN at 550 is a great play. I think, my prediction for him this game, I think he has 2 touchdowns receiving with over 120 yards. And I think, he establishes himself as the Super Bowl MVP and then potentially is the number 1 wide receiver in football after this game. But we will have to see. That is what I think is going to play out. But at 550, it's like, even if, those aren't the odds that, maybe Sam Darnold, because he's still the guy that passes to him. I understand that. But I think at 550, it's just too hard to pass up.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, and Jigba is on the threshold of maybe being considered the top guy, at the wide receiver. He wins, the offensive player of the year. in the NFL on Thursday, so he's already being recognized. And, he's very well. Could be plus 100 yards here in this game, multiple touchdowns like you talked about. He's definitely an impact player. But I do believe that the quarterbacks, you would think that, the MVP voting would start from scratch. Let's watch the game. Let's see how it plays out. But I really believe that right now, if it's a bland game and really there's nobody that sticks out, it's either if Seattle wins, Darnold's the guy. New England wins, May's the guy. I mean, it's for them to lose the MVP voting. So there's going to be a need for somebody to have a massive game. And the concern I have with Njigba is that if he has a massive game, there's a chance that Sam Darnold has a massive game. And I think people will lean to the story that you even mentioned, that he's, an underdog. When I mean underdog is that he was drafted third overall by the New York Jets. That faltered. He bounced around the NFL, comes back last year to Minnesota, surprisingly gets a start after J.J. McCarthy gets injured, has a phenomenal season. However, there were question marks that could he do it again? And Mike McDonald taking a chance to get rid of Geno Smith, bringing in Sam Darnold, saying, this is my guy, play action system we're going to do. And he fit perfectly. And now we're at the biggest moment of his career. That's the whole story, right? That's the story that people want to see, is a success story like Sam Darnold. So I believe it's going to be hard for him to lose. So I would tend to think that one of the quarterbacks is going to take the MVP. I like your argument. I like your rationale. But if there's value we're talking, I think the 850 with Kenneth Walker, the third, to me, provides that value. And if he goes off tomorrow, he could separate himself from the quarterback performance based on, yards after the catch, rushing yards, touchdowns. He's been a real juggernaut for the Seattle Seahawks. Like, he has been lights out. Like, Kenneth Walker has not been in the league that long. He's only been in a league for a couple of years. He actually had a better season his rookie season than he did this year, which surprised me statistically. But the last few playoff games and the last few games in critical situations at the end of the year, he was dominant. He was running downhill, making guys miss, going through guys, catching the ball. He was everywhere, right? Just a difference maker. So I see the value there at the plus 850 for Kenneth Walker the third. Not the second, not the first. Make sure we got to note down Kenneth Walker the third. All right? Take that, play a fish.
Yeah. No, I really like that one too. I didn't write it down because I didn't take it, but I seen there was a prop for him to get 5 rush yards every quarter, and I seen that it had some great odds. So I can't name the odds off the top of my head, but that might be worth the look for you. It might have been like 3 or 4 to 1 just for him to get 5 rush yards every quarter. I thought it was very interesting. But I'll come back at a prop with you. I'll start off with the guys we've already talked about with JSN and Sam Darnold. So one thing that I really like this game, because I think, the Seahawks are going to really lay it on here. And I'm not saying Sam Darnold, I don't think he's going to shit the bed, but I can see him having a pick or two. I think that's why I lean more to JSN winning the MVP. But I think Sam Darnold at 3 passing touchdowns at plus 350 is actually a great pick. I think this team's going to put up points. And, Sam Darnold's not one to run it in for himself too often. And I think these balls are scored through the air. I know it might go a little against the Kenneth Walker argument. I still see the value there at what the odds are. But I'll come out with one more. And
well, hold on, give me a second here. So let's let me write that down. 3 passing. So you like value on Darnold, 3 passing touchdowns. What site and what was the odds on that one?
So today I was more focused on the bets that I liked. I should have shopped odds more, but I didn't. So all my bets today will be coming from FanDuel. Okay. And the odds on Sam Darnold with 3 passing touchdowns on FanDuel is plus 350.
Okay. It's good value.
Yeah, I thought so too. Okay.
So we'll get into more of the we're going to talk passing right now, so that if you have any more passing related items, we'll get into it. And I also have a section where we're going to talk about special situations like bets that you would normally bet, and it's not necessarily along these lines of like running, rushing, and blah blah blah. Some are, but some are not. So going into passing right now. So let's go to the book. I got the big old book here of massive notes to get us through this. So we have 3 sections here. Passing yardage right now. So throughout the week, I mean, it's jumped up a couple yards here and there. So the FanDuel So for passing over under for passing yards, so FanDuel closed it or is currently 221.5 for Drake May, 229.5 for Sam Darnold, both up a yard from when it opened or the last time I checked, actually. Bet365 has had more of a radical shift. So they opened up at 218.5. And now Drake May's up to 222.5. So monies must have come in on the over on that passing total at Bet365. And then also a 2-yard increase. Sam Darnold at Bet365 is at 232.5. It was at 230.5. DK, 223.5 for Drake May, 231.5 for Sam Darnold. So do you like, if we focus on any of those, do you like either quarterback to have a massive passing game? It sounds like you do with Darnold, but what are your thoughts on the passing yardage?
I actually think that both teams are going to have a lot of passing yards this game, so I'm actually going with the over on both these totals.
So let's look at this. Like if you were shopping your lines, you wouldn't take Bet365 because you have Sam Darnold 232.5 while you can get it at 229.5 on FanDuel. That's a 3-yard difference, which could be critical on that. And also 221.5. Which is a yard better than 365 and 2 yards better than DraftKings. So 221.5 on Drake May. I'll follow you there. I think I like the over. Somebody's going to have a massive game and somebody's going to be chasing and have to put the ball in the air. I think these totals are too low. Okay. Passing touchdowns. Does any quarterback, and I think you already answered this, have over over 2 or more passing touchdowns? You think Sam Darnold is? Are you ready to bet it?
If
I said you like 3, but if I said a 2 or more, do you feel comfortable betting Sam Darnold at minus 108?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I might, obviously I'm going to be looking at that 3 because I'm placing some smaller bets here. So, I might be going for that, high upside a little bit. There's so many bets here in play. So I like to go for a bunch of those. So I'll be leaning more towards 3. But yeah, of course I would bet 2 and I would feel extremely comfortable about 2. Maybe so much so throw it in a parlay. I think 2 is like almost definite. So definitely bet.
Okay, so Drake May is plus 134 to get 2 passing touchdowns. I'm a little iffy on that one because not to say that they won't be successful, but I could see them, getting stalled in the 1-yard line and quarterback sneak in or Drake May scrambling or I just don't see it as a good pick to lean on. Drake May to have 2 passing touchdowns. It could happen.
Yeah,
but I'm not confident about it.
I'm not confident, and it's not a bet, but it might be a lean just because in my prediction for this game, I said the Patriots put up 17 points, and I think 2 of those are passing touchdowns. So I actually do think he gets those 2 passing touchdowns, but not confident enough to bet it. Obviously, if I'm thinking Darnold's going to throw 3, obviously I'm going to take the 2, but the 2 for May here is kind of like a 50-50 in my head.
Okay. And then longest completion right now, FanDuel has, if you like the overs, has the best odds, 32.5 for Drake May's longest completion, Sam Darnold 35.5. So if you like the over in any of those long completions.
Well, honestly, I say I like it for Darnold. Okay. I don't like it for May. I don't like it for May.
So would you tend to take the under then for Drake May, and then that way you would shift to DK or Bet365 where you get it at 33.5, which would be better if you like the under?
Yes, I would.
Okay. So Sam Darnold, Drake May, not so much. All right. Pass completions. We have Drake May, 20.5, plus 106, 19.5 for Sam Darnold at minus 122. Looking across the board. Yep. The FanDuel's the plus for Drake May, but you can get DraftKings at 19.5 versus 20.5, but the juice is minus 128. And Sam Darnold right now is 19.5 on FanDuel, but 20.5 on both other sites. So depends on what you like here. I mean, do you feel that Drake May is going to complete at least 20 passes?
I do. Yes.
Okay. What about 21 passes?
Yeah, I would say he throws 23, 24 passes.
Well, remember completions.
Yeah.
So he could throw them. But
I think it's going to be a lot of short yardage scenarios. Because they are going to, in my head, Seattle's going to win by multiple touchdowns. So the Patriots are going to have to throw that ball to try to stay in the game, right? I don't think it will always be successful drives, but I think there'll be a lot of throwing. So I'm taking this.
Yeah. So this is where things could go awry for the New England Patriots, right? The Seattle defense is lights out, right? They get pressure. They harass,
Yes.
their opposition. Now, I'm hoping, based on, the Patriots covering the spread and these low totals, I think the betting public believes that Drake May is going to be under duress throughout the entire game. But you're going to see when we talk about other areas of props that I do believe they can be successful, but it might be dink and dunk kind of short yardage to guys that maybe not a Keyshawn Booty who's going to be down the field, for example. So I agree with you. I think he'll have at least 20. And if you believe, as you do, that the Seahawks will be in double digits lead, guess who's got to throw the ball, right? He's got to throw the ball. So that should be a good bet. Okay. I like it. All right, we're going to stop there. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I apologize. If we're on the topic of, receptions, do you want my props that I'm taking that
not
fall
yet,
in line with
we're not on receptions yet. We're not on receptions yet.
No problem.
Calm down. I need you to calm down.
Yeah, well, we're okay.
Okay, because I'm going to get to specifically the receiving yards. So I want to talk concrete. So let's get that Super Bowl concrete fact that everybody tunes in for. Let's do it.
Okay, so this is actually a good one. Bringing it back to the World War II days, I believe. So giant concrete ears or acoustic mirrors were built in Britain in World War II to detect enemy aircraft flying overhead. These sound mirrors amplified the noise of aircraft engines up to 20 miles away, which allowed the British military to detect incoming planes 15 minutes before they arrived. So imagine just spherical concrete structures, not... very, very innovative, but soon after they were built, radar detection technology made them obsolete. But many of these unused structures still stand at the coast of southern England.
That's an interesting. But imagine that you invested in this business. Like, holy shit, we got something here. We have a miracle World War II invention to save us. Early detection. And some asshole a month later creates radar.
Right?
Some asshole comes in and guys.
I hope this guy got at least a
radar.
Year. I hope he got at least a good year out of it,
Yeah, that's up there with the phone book, right? Like it's I get it, and it's crazy what people come up with, but how fast was that company out of business? Like, setting these things up like that fast. Holy shit. All right. So thanks for the concrete fact. We'll continue to keep collecting that information, sharing with us. That's what we want. That's what the viewers want to see. So we get on to now. We're going to talk rushing. All right. We're going to talk running backs or whoever's going to rush. All right. So we get into this, and right now, this is a varied line, right? Kenneth Walker, his low total is currently on DraftKings. It dropped 2 yards. It's sitting at 70.5 for his rushing total, while FanDuel and Bet365 still have him at 72.5. Kenneth Walker's going to be the focal point here, probably the guy that's going to have the ball in his hands the most with the potential to be dominant. Can he rush for 73 yards, over 70 yards in this game? Where do you see Kenneth Walker's performance?
I'll be honest. The way that in my head this way plays out is for you. It seems like you're more on the line of this is going to be a run-dominated game, if I'm not mistaken. But I think there's going to be a lot of passing. So I definitely think there's a good chance Kenneth Walker hits this mark. But I'm more thinking he's around 80, not necessarily 100. So it's like I think it could go either way. I think he'll get a touchdown for sure. But because I think the game script is going to go the way of both teams passing, I want to stay away from the high rush totals because, I can't have like 500 total yards in this game. So I have to stick true.
Okay.
Stay true.
All right. So the other notable running backs here that have Ramondre Stevenson of the Patriots, he's sitting at 49.5 on FanDuel, 50.5 on the other sites. I'm not going to lean my hopes that he's going to have a game. Sometimes he's dominant. Sometimes he doesn't show up. And who knows how dominant the Seattle defense will be. I do believe there's value, though. And this is a guy who's fell off the radar. He had a spurt of great, highlight reels runs. And I think with 2 weeks to prepare and put him back into a opportunity to be successful, Travion Henderson. I think there's value here for Travion Henderson. He has struggled the last few games. Like, it doesn't feel like he finds any holes at all. But he had the period of time while Stevenson was out And he broke a lot of big runs for touchdowns in multiple games, right? And he's kind of gone silent and been put to the side. But I think with the 2 weeks, they're going to have to try using him more and put him in to be successful. And I think these totals are way too low for him. So he's at 18.5 yards. I like the over. All three sites have it. So FanDuel has it minus 110. I'm going to take Trevion Henderson over. I think he's underutilized in the betting circle, but reality he's going to be utilized more than he has been the last few games. And then just other guys, like, do you really think Drake May is going to be taken off in this game? He's got a 35.5 rushing total here. Do you see him being on the run a lot in this game?
No, I don't. Like I said, I see this game heavy passing. There is one player who I'd like your thoughts. I have one player for the over rushing,
Okay.
and it comes at plus 430 for 5 yards. And this is not a bet I would make on a week to week basis. This is a bet that I think you try to utilize your best player, and I think JSN for 5 rushing yards at plus 430 is a
Wow.
great bet. In the Super Bowl, that you always have these crazy kind of scheme plays, right? And I just think we see one or two of these chances. Maybe he gets 7 or 8 yards. It's first down. They rush him on the outside. He scores 8 yards at 4-1, at more than 4-1, 4.3-1. I think this is great value. So this is one of the fun Super Bowl kind of bets I like to make, and that is the one rush total that I'm coming to you guys with today.
Interesting. I didn't bother jotting him down here because he was way down the list. What was his total again?
So his total was 5 rushing yards for
So
plus
4.5?
430. I think I saw 5, so I don't know if it's a push, but I wrote it down. This is from FanDuel rush totals.
I got to believe that there's a 4.5 in there. I got to believe. Do your research. Get in there.
Yeah, you talk. I'll look.
Okay, so that's a good sneaky find because you're right. They have 2 weeks, and you want to get the ball in your dominant player's hands. I do believe that's value, right? And a lot of these lines are built on what we've seen the last 18 weeks plus playoffs, but the 2-week downtime, I think you do have the opportunity to sneak in some good value with a play. So in Jigba, over 4.5 or 5, depending on what you find, is plus 430. We'll get back to it. It's okay as you look. So longest rush, just trying to think of what stands out here. Again, I like Trevion Henderson. His longest rush dropped from 7.5 to 6.5 on Bet365. It's currently at 8.5 on DK and 7.5 on FanDuel, but I like this sneaky play here. So Trevion Henderson, undervalued, longest rushed over. And I also believe that when I see Sam Darnold at 5.5 as longest rush, there's going to be at least one opportunity where, throughout 60 minutes, he runs for a first down or scrambles for, a big, 20-yard run. Like, that's inevitable, I think. What do you think of that? What about the longest rush? Just the end of those plays appeal to you?
Okay, so I actually found something better.
Okay.
So, like I said, I feel like they probably will scheme something like this maybe once or twice for him. It's in the cards. I think this is what happens. You see crafty stuff like this every Super Bowl. So I found over half a yard for Jackson Smith-Njigba is plus 280. So I think over half a yard for Jackson Smith-Njigba at 280 is better than the one that I found. But if you still think he rushes over 5 yards, I'm sure you can find that. There's so many bets on here to comb through.
Yeah,
I had that written down at five rush yards plus 430. But to make the safe play, maybe he does run the ball, but he gets stuffed for 1 or 2 yards. Take that over half a yard at plus 280. I think that's a great find.
That's good. I'll make one comment. Just you reminded me because I know you're looking for what you think you saw earlier. And I've been sifting through the 3 sites, DraftKings, FanDuel, and Bet365. I felt that DraftKings was pretty easy to navigate when you're jumping back and forth to many of these props. FanDuel, man, it's I use FanDuel predominantly. However, man, you really gotta almost take a screenshot where you find certain bets because it's hard to navigate back. And a couple of the specials I'll go through later, I found like on Tuesday, but really struggled to find until this morning where I found it from. So FanDuel is my predominant book I use, but I believe there's opportunities to make the navigation a little simpler. And I noticed DraftKings and Bet365 do a better job, especially when you're looking at props, of listing the last 5 games. So if you look at like rushing total as an example on Bet365, you'll see Kenneth Walker and you'll see it listed under his name, his last 5 game performance rushing yards, which I think is very helpful because you're doing all that research on your own and it saves you a lot of time. And FanDuel doesn't do that. And then DraftKings had a nice feature where it actually had the injury report on there so I thought that was amazing, right? You're trying to make it so that you have a one-stop shop. And FanDuel, man, you got to get better, man. You got to get better. I do like their bonuses. I do like their VIP program. It benefits me, but some of those little add-ons would be beneficial for FanDuel. So I just want to comment on that. I don't know if you find FanDuel challenging to navigate sometimes, or is it just me?
I mean, I do find it challenging to navigate, but I think the reason for that is because, like, at least for the Super Bowl, I feel like maybe there's way more options. I can't say that for sure. I haven't done my research, but it just feels like there's so many potential bets to make, and I think that's why I'm having trouble navigating. Usually I don't, but I do also notice that you have that little search bar to search specific things.
Right.
And with FanDuel, I feel like I struggle the most to use that search bar. When I'm on Bet365, it seems very easy.
Agreed. All right, Sam Darnold. You don't see him going for 5.5 as a long rush, or do you see him? Would you stay away from that?
What's the
5.5, minus 112.
Minus 112? I actually do like that. I could see him going for 7 or 8 yards this game.
Okay, and then rush and receiving. Again, I'm searching at Travion Henderson here. He has a 24.5, minus 115 or 114. Sorry, minus 115 on Bet365. I think he's going to have a game. All right, so I think anything Travion Henderson, there's some value there. Is there anybody else that stands out to you? Does Kenneth Walker, both receiving and rushing, go past 98.5 yards, which is listed here?
Like I said, I think it's going to be a heavily passing game, so I'm going to stay away from those rushing totals.
Okay, so
go with the under. I'm going to go with the under, actually. You know what? That's still a bet. Yep.
All right, so we're like halfway through this podcast. We got a ways to go. So speaking of halftime, we got some novelty plays that usually pop up Super Bowl time. Are you excited? We talked about Bad Bunny. You're a fan. What's your hype? Out of 10, how excited are you for the halftime show?
So I don't know if Green Day is going to perform, but Green Day, that would probably be like a 9 out of 10. And then I would say Bad Bunny's probably I would say an 8 out of 10. Bad Bunny's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't watch the Super Bowl for the halftime show, but I guess let's say with Green Day there, 8.5 out of 10 total, maybe 9. You know what? 9. This is pretty good.
Okay, I'll say I really could care less. I mean, I'm not against or whatever. Once it's on, I'll check it out, but I'm not really. I'll be focused more on all right. What's the second half play here, and all that time dedicated to that and making money. But just to help us out, and she didn't want to appear on camera, but the lady from upstairs has secretly slipped under the door her selections for the novelty picks. So here's some of them, and for the audience out there who do enjoy a little wagering on the non-football related items. So national anthem, length of the last note held under, she says under 4.5 seconds. So note that down. First song from Bad Bunny, and forget my Spanish because I'm not Spanish, is the first song she believes is Titi Mi Pregunto. And then special guest, she has Carol G. A lot of people are thinking J-Lo or, Cardi B, but she's got Carol G. First song headwear, baseball hat. Can't believe we're talking about this. Anyway, how many times will Cardi B appear on the podcast? And this is the last one. She's noted down. She believes it's going to be over 1.5, which makes sense.
Appears on the podcast?
No, not sorry. Did I say podcast? Sorry.
Yeah,
I meant on during
She's
the Super
coming
Bowl.
here.
Yes. Cardi B's going to be here, special guest. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Any novelty plays? Are you going to wager anything on any of these, off the cuff kind of plays here?
Put it all on the white Gatorade. Everything you have, your house, your car.
On the white Gatorade,
No, I'm not
the orange, not the blue,
Okay, no.
but the white Gatorade.
Yeah, anyone taking that seriously, don't do it. I'm staying away from these novelty picks. I was making a joke. All right.
Okay,
I, but hey,
somebody just
if
put
it's
their
like
mortgage
Gatorade, I
right
still
on.
want the credit. But
Yeah, it's to each his own. Like the Super Bowl's like New Year's, right? It's people
yeah,
coming out that don't normally stay up to midnight that are out there having fun. So if it encourages people to enjoy the game that much more by putting a wager on these novelty plays, I say have at it. Other items to enjoy. So we got the squares going for you Super Bowl rookies out there. There is a fun event if you go to your Super Bowl party or your local pub. Is that there's 100 squares? You write your name in. You pay for you set in a dollar amount. So let's say, for example, the squares we're gonna put together are gonna be $5 a square. You write your name in and you sell all the squares until you complete the all the 100 are filled out. You collect the $500. And what happens is once the squares are completed, you draw numbers 0 to 9. You put it on the left side of the board, so they'd be in random order. And you do it again on the top of the board, random order, so that, and you list the team up top, you list the team on the side, so that at the end of each quarter, the score will dictate who wins. So, example, let's say the Seahawks are at the end of the first quarter winning 17-3. You would look at the line for the Seahawks, find where the 3 is, and go down for the Patriots and find the 3. And if that name is yours, you win a certain amount, most likely $100. And you do that for each quarter. And then here's key, because this question comes up a lot. For the fourth quarter, make sure to stipulate that it's the final score. So if it does go to overtime, that final score dictates who wins, not just the end of the fourth quarter. And usually you put a little bit, I said it was $500. You'd probably make the fourth quarter or end a game maybe 200 instead of the 100 for each of the previous quarters. Have you done it before? Have you done the squares?
yeah, I've done the squares. We did it when the Patriots made that comeback on the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. Buddy Chris came by. I remember. I think he won it twice. I think I saw Grandpa Bob win it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. You're gonna have to, and you're gonna be paying for some squares. So I just want to give you a heads up now.
Of course.
$3,000. Yeah. That's a live reaction here on live stream. Anyway, so that is, I say anyway a lot, don't I? Anyway, let's move on. We're going into receiving now. This is the area that I think you're a little more interested in because you do believe there's going to be a lot of throwing, and Jigba is going to have an MVP kind of day. So let's get into it and talk where the value is. So Jackson Smith and Jigba currently right now is listed as 94.5 on DraftKings. 93.5 on Bet365, 93.5 for FanDuel. So I got to believe you're thinking he's going over that.
Over. Yeah. I made my prediction with what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to win Super Bowl MVP. So I think, he cracks 120 yards today with the multiple touchdowns.
I've said this before. I think the value here is if you feel he's going to hit that, 93.5 or more, which he absolutely can. There are times throughout the year where he won't even get a sniff, early on in the game, and then he'll explode at some point and he'll sail past that 100-yard mark. So if you're a real gambler, which I got to think you are if you listen to the podcast, you may want to sit on that bet and look for a live play for his receiving yardage. And wait for the opportunity. Don't wait too long, but wait for that opportunity for those yardage numbers to come down. Because I got to believe at some point he'll get to that 90, 100 yardage. And it's just kind of like buying a stock at the right time. So you take that for what it is. You like it to go over. I think there's value here on Stephon Diggs. I think Diggs is going to have a game, right? And I got him over the 44.5 is his current. It went up a little bit a yard. I like Diggs. He sounds like you as well.
I mentioned earlier that I have some stuff for the Patriots fans as well. And, I also did mention that I think the Patriots are going to have to throw the ball. So I actually have 3 passing related props on the side of the Patriots here. And honestly, 2 of them are on Stephon Diggs and 1 is on one other receiver.
Who would you like to go into the other receiver? Sure.
Okay, the other receiver who we've talked about on this podcast, I've said he's a guy that I like, Kayshon Boutte. And, his over and under at -110 is 31.5. I think he has 35, 40 yards this game easy. And I think, honestly, Stephon Diggs, them being behind in this game, I think he gets some short yardage work. Earlier in the podcast, I said I didn't think that the Patriots were going to get a throw reception over 32.5 yards, I believe. But I have Stephon Diggs, longest reception at 17.5. I think they try to feed him the ball, and over 4.5 receptions at -118. I think even though they're behind in this game, Diggs is a superstar, and he's going to get some work this game. He's going to get a touchdown too.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's quite the prediction. So Diggs, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say Diggs 60, 70 yards and a touchdown. That being said, I think he gets a lot of short yardage work, a lot of receptions, and I don't think it's necessarily giant plays. Even though I do think he'll get one over 17.5, I don't think a 20-yard reception has to be considered game-breaking play. But
Okay.
I
And
think he
then
hits that.
I agree with you 100%. I believe he's going to be a focal point. He's a gamer, right? And that's why they brought him in for these big moments. When they needed him on that Sunday nighter against Baltimore, he was 100 plus yards. It just seems he shows up at the right time. And I think there's a lot of value here. So, excuse me. Let me get the old water going. A little dry down here. Okay. Go ahead. Fill the air.
Yeah, I think I also think Kayshon Boutte, I looked at his over totals. I didn't look at his reception totals, but Kayshon Boutte is a guy who's stepped up in a lot of big moments this year. He might not be their number one option, but I think he gets a lot of gets a lot of low totals that I think aren't completely justified. So I think you take a look at Kayshon Boutte, and I'm locking in the over 31.5 yards for him.
Okay. Perfect. Another player I think has a lot of value and fits to what I think is going to be available for the Patriots because there's going to be a lot of pressure. Hunter Henry, tight end, New England Patriots. Right now, I like him to go over 38.5 yards. I think he's going to be a focal point, a secondary, maybe he may not be the main guy in the play, but he's going to be the check down guy. Check down, Hunter Henry. And he's going to be outside of Diggs. I think he'll be more of the focal point, and Diggs will pick up on some of the bigger plays. So I like that. Hunter Henry's total. And I also like, when it comes to receptions, I like Stephon Diggs to have over 4.5. I think he'll be more of a factor here. And I think Hunter Henry at minus 114 at 3.5, he'll have at least 4 or more receptions. So those are the two guys. And part of the reason why I switched to the Patriots covering, because I started to like these props on the New England side. What kind of game do you see Hunter Henry having?
I think you're right. In a big pressure moment, if somebody if Drake May was to start feeling the pressure, I think Henry's that guy. And I think they're going to be behind in this game, so I think he will. I think he'll throw it in 4 or 5 times. I think I think the Patriots are going to pass a lot, and I think Hunter Henry could have easily 40 or 50 yards.
Okay, perfect. And then I don't think we can go away from the receiving without talking, because he's probably the most interesting player to talk about, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp,
that is.
right now his yardage is over, or at least at the moment, 34.5, 33.5 on DraftKings, 32.5 on FanDuel. So that would be your better play if you like the over. And Cooper Kupp long 16.5 if you like him to have more than that. And Cooper Kupp to have, and this has been bouncing around, do you see him having over 3.5 receptions? And he's a plus money. What kind of game? What game? Predict the game he's going to have.
The thing is that I want Cooper Kupp to have a good game. He was a top 3 wide receiver in football at one point, and the dude's brought so much entertainment to the league. I think he'll contribute 3 catches for 35 yards.
So you're doing this based on nostalgia. Don't let your heart.
What I will say,
don't let your heart get into it.
No, I think even though he doesn't stuff the stat sheet, I think there's 1 or 2 first downs where he comes through, and I think for me, I think that's the game he's going to have. That being said, I want him to have a bigger game than that. I want him to have a bigger game than 30, 35 yards. But I think he'll be right around there. If he had like 50, would I be surprised? No. Anything more than that, yeah, I'd probably be surprised.
Can you check if you got FanDuel up there, touchdown, anytime touchdown for Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second here.
Okay, we'll just pause the podcast here. I'm just, the dead air. I'm just kidding. But Cooper Kupp is intriguing. He's played a big role, in the last couple games in the playoffs. Got that big first down against the 49ers to kind of ice the game. Controversial because he lost control of the ball, but was considered down and past the first down marker. Have you found it yet? Any luck?
Yes, I did find it
Okay.
for Cooper Cup, and honestly, I gotta say, I don't like the odds. It's at plus 260. What are your thoughts?
Anytime, is it for anytime touchdown?
For anytime touchdown, it's plus 260. Personally, I would put it more at a plus 300, plus 350 myself.
Okay, that's fair. Any other comments on any of the receiving props? We're gonna shift into kind of some game specials next.
Receiving props. So let me take a look.
Okay.
You know what? The only I think I've said already the receiving props that I had with
Okay.
yeah, I can list them again though.
If you want to list them,
So I
feel
have
free.
Diggs, yeah,
Recap. Go for it.
Diggs over 4.5 receptions, and then I like
Yep.
the Diggs over 17.5 for his longest reception yard total, and then I like Keyshawn Booty with over 31.5 receiving yards as well. So I
Okay.
have those 3 props there. Funny enough, they're all on the Patriots side. You know, I feel like I don't got to give you guys the over and unders for JSN just because I already told you guys the exact, you know, to the T numbers. I think he's going to be the Super Bowl MVP, 120. So it's like, yeah, go put your money on them. Or sorry, go put your money on JSN. I think he dominates this game. I think, you know, he's already a superstar, but like I said, I think he establishes himself as the number 1 wide receiver in football, and everyone's like, "Holy shit!" You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And just to recap, I'm not going to go through my numbers, but I'll tell you that I like, just like you did, Stephon Diggs. We believe that the yardages and performance you're seeing on these sites is lower than what we think he'll perform at. Big game in front of Cardi B. You know, he's going to want to put his A game in front of Cardi B. A before B. Yeah, that's terrible. Anyway, and I said anyway again. This should be part of if you're listening to the pod and you hear me say anyway, take a shot. Take a shot. Okay.
I think they'll be dead.
What's that?
I think
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I've noticed that about myself here. So and also Hunter Henry, by the way. Hunter Henry, I believe, is undervalued in the props we're seeing here. So you're going to see some money from my side on Hunter Henry's numbers, mostly receiving yardage and number of completions. But I'm going to dive into, and I'll get your comments on there, and you can throw in whatever you want, I'm going to go through backwards. I'm going to go through DK, Bet365, and then FanDuel, some of the game specials that these sites are providing. FanDuel had predominantly the ones, the larger lists. So I'll get to that last. But I thought it'd be a good discussion point on some of the ones I think are worth looking at. One of the ones I kind of like, and the ones you're definitely going to see some money down from this side on some of these plays. So I'm going to start with DraftKings. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. So
Let's
just give
do
me
this.
yes or no
Okay.
if I like it. Yes or no?
We can discuss it, like it. I'll tell you if I like it, and you can absolutely comment whatever you like. So DraftKings has total number of turnovers in the game by both teams is over 2.5 gets you even money. And think about, we witnessed the game with Drake May that he had 3 turnovers in one game against Houston. Sam Darnold, could turn the ball over. I mean, both these quarterbacks could be in a situation where they're throwing up a Hail Mary at the end of the first half and get that easy pick. So I like this. I'm taking this for sure that there's going to be at least 3 or more turnovers in this game.
I'll take it 2. Not a confident one, but if I had to guess the amount of turnovers in this game, the number would be 3. So
Okay.
give me a lean to that side.
Okay, so you're warm to it, but you're not like
I like it. I don't love it. You know, it's like I wouldn't say lock it in, but if I had to choose, that's the side.
Okay. Now this one I'm not going to bet, but I thought it was interesting, and we'll see if you see value on it. A red zone interception. So for those out there that are maybe love football, but maybe don't know the vernacular, the red zone is this when they're within the opposition's 20-yard line or less to the end zone. So hence the red zone channel, that when a team's in 20 yards or less to potentially score a touchdown or a field goal, they're trying to flip over to that game because it's called red zone. So red zone interception over just 1 or more plus 330.
You know what? It is great value. That I wasn't expecting it to be 330. I wasn't expecting to be 330, and now I kind of like it.
Catches
So
your attention, doesn't it?
I will say yes. I will say yes for that value. Yes, if it drops under 300, I wouldn't take it, but I could see it happening.
Okay. And then this one I do like. I don't know if I'll take it. Is they have on DraftKings a lot of head-to-head bets, which are great. You know, there's a lot of opportunity. You can either bet one player versus another on yardage, etc., or a head-to-head. What the hell was this? Oh man. Oh, rushing yards. That's right. Head-to-head, but combine Drake May and Sam Darnold to have a combined rushing total of over 44.5 at minus 110. Do you see value there at all? Again, this is not something I'm
I don't like that
taking
one.
or I'm don't like it. Okay.
I don't like it
You
at
didn't
all.
like you didn't like. Okay. But we'll move on from that. And then this one I do like, okay? Because remember I said I saw value in Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson plus George I can't remember. What is the guy's name? George Holland, whatever's the other running back. Or fullback or something, over a combined 33.5 yards, minus 113. I like that one. Mark it down. Think there's value here. Okay. So let me Bet365. I didn't have many on Bet365 before I get to FanDuel, but I did like the one play is they have milestones. Have you ever checked that out in Bet365? They have milestones or a section called milestones. So, and this is kind of like a 2-in-1 bet. It's not a combo bet. I'm just covering all angles here because at least I think one of them at least will pay off. So if you have Drake May to throw 2 or more interceptions, that's a plus 400. Sam Darnold is plus 350 to throw 2 or more interceptions. Well, one of these guys, in your belief, have 2 interceptions in this game. And if you do, you're going to make plus money that if you put $100 on both, you're coming out with 100 or so or more if one of them does and one of them does not throw 2 picks.
Yeah,
Your feelings.
I 100% like that one because my prediction for the game is 3. So obviously that means either one of them is going to have 3 or one of them is going to have 2. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I also agree with you, and I like that one. I'll take it as well.
Okay. All right. Before I get to FanDuel, is there any special game specials that you had you want to? I'll let you throw one out there.
I had this is just a teaser throw in if somebody's building a parlay. It was Stephon Diggs to record a 10-yard reception at minus 800. I know it's not great, but I just can't imagine a game. I don't know if you like that one, but I can't imagine a game where like the Super Bowl where Stephon Diggs doesn't have over a 10-yard reception. But that was just like a parlay throw
Okay.
in.
So let's talk about this.
Sorry.
Okay.
My bad. Stephon Diggs to have 10 total yards. That's my bad.
Okay.
That's very
So
different.
minus 800. Could you fit that into a same game parlay you think that would add value to that same game parlay?
Like a specific one, you mean?
Well, I mean, remember
Yeah.
it's minus 800. Like normally if you're betting
Yeah.
that straight up, unless you got wads of like money, you would probably bet 800 to win 100. But how would you incorporate it into your betting that wager?
So the reason why I bring you guys this is because, like I said, we got a lot of these boosted parlays, but sometimes you have to hit 3 legs. So if you're like me and, you think this is like a guaranteed teaser, and you also think the Seahawks are going to win, just throw in the Seahawks. Maybe you want to put in the total in there too that you chose. And then you have this kind of easy hit that gets you over the 3-leg requirement. So that's kind of the reason why I came with this. It's not a sexy one or anything. It's just a little throw in.
Okay. So it's kind of like in your back pocket because some of the promotions out there required you to get the plus money on your same game parlay. And if you're close to that even money, maybe throw that in to push you over the edge.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Fair enough. And again, same game parlays, everybody. I know there might be a lot of rookies out there listening to the podcast, looking at betting on the Super Bowl for the first time. Same game parlays are exciting. We'll talk about them. We'll even take them. But let's be clear. They're sucker bets. You're not going to win consistently at sports gambling by same game parlays. I don't care what you hear on Instagram. There's a lot of shit on Instagram that people, I'm an expert. I got the 16 fucking parlay and it paid off. Don't get caught up into that. I mean, it's same game parlays are exactly what DraftKings and FanDuel want you to do. All right. That's how they bank their profits.
At some point, they're just getting you to buy a lottery ticket.
That's right. That's right. Man, I had a point that like I came across earlier in the week and I forgot about it. It's something about same game parlays, maybe, or restrictions or something where they just put the boots to you on, dropping your ability to win. So just
Eh,
damn it, I forgot it.
Yeah, I want to come at you with one more that caught my eye.
Yep, sure, go ahead.
I know we're kind of coming back here, or maybe it should have been mentioned earlier, but Austin Hooper at 2 receptions at plus 182.
Is there a bias there because of his name?
Yeah.
The
No,
hoops? Okay.
yeah. No, I
Okay.
just think if
Okay.
we're talking about Hunter
Value?
Henry here, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe if Hunter Henry's not that guy, you got this backup parlay giving you a lot of plus money here at 182. It
Okay.
doesn't take a lot for a guy to catch two balls.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a good play. Good value. And again, Super Bowl creates these different game plans, and maybe Austin Hooper's got a set of plays just for him. We'll see. I think that's a good pick. So I'm going to start us off in the FanDuel one, and some plays are more for consideration and more chat, not a locked play by me by any means. But I thought there was value in Kenneth Walker and Stevenson, Mondre Stevenson, to have each 5 or more yards in each quarter at plus 490.
Yeah. Sorry, I think that's the one I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I found but lost.
Okay.
So yeah, I actually I like that one. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a heavy run game, but I think
Right.
those runs get incorporated, and we can get those yards, those 5 yards each quarter. That's for each
Okay.
running back.
Yeah, they both have to each have 5 yards in
Yeah,
each of the quarters.
So you think they'll get that as well?
I think there's value to it, but I'm always skeptical that why is the value so good for something that looks so easy? What does somebody know that I don't know? Right? Is there a fat guy with a cigar right now walking in a Circa in Vegas, dropping down a duffel bag of like dirty money to throw on this play, or something he knows about? Demondre Stevenson's got like a torn ACL and we just don't know about it, or somebody knows something that we don't. So that's I like it, but what am I missing?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Whenever I see a super boost and it's like on a player like a Luka, 20 points with 5 assists,
Right.
and it's like, what the hell? That should be easy. I always
Yes.
think there's some shady stuff going on. I'm like, they know that for some reason he's not supposed to score these tonight or something like that, right? Like,
Yeah. Like,
somebody ran the simulation.
Somebody ran the simulations ahead of us. That's right. So I'll tell you about a play I made earlier this week. I had a hockey bet and I said, you know what? Let me do a game special. And there was 10 hockey games. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember exactly. Or Monday. I can't, whatever day it was. And you could bet at plus money and good money that there would be at least 4 goals scored in each of the games that night. Right? So there were some iffy games. I thought maybe a 2-0 game, 3-0 game here. The one game that I thought was for sure probably over 5.5, much less score 4 goals, was Colorado playing at home against Detroit. When you think of the NHL, the highest scoring team are the Colorado Avalanche. The best record in the NHL, Colorado Avalanche. Probably the worst place you don't want to go and play on the road is Colorado. Every 9 games, 4 goals or more. But the Colorado Avalanche lose 2-0 at home to the Detroit Red Wings. They lose 2-0 at home. They just blanked the Red Wings 5-0 a couple nights earlier. But at home, with Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Natchez, and all the weapons that they have, they can't score a fucking goal. And that's the game that doesn't get me the win. Unbelievable, outrageous, but I'm the sucker. Those are the kind of bets they're not going to consistently win, and the books want you to take. So shame on me, but it's just a pain, just an anger that came over me. But that's the game. If it would have been Ottawa and Pittsburgh, fine. But Colorado can't score at home? Like, that's ridiculous. Okay, we're back on track. Let's get back on track. Calm down. Let's calm down. So, game day specials, which I think are a better value in the Super Bowl. So, what about Jackson Smith and Jigba and Stephon Diggs to have at least 25 yards? They both have to do it in each of the halves at plus $600. At plus 600.
For 600, I like it. I like it as a fun bet. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but at a 6-1 odds, I might still consider it. I do have one in front of me too. So I actually think that Stephon Diggs has a good first half and doesn't have a great second half. And because of that as well, I see this one bet at minus 111. Stephon
Yep.
Diggs for over 6.5 in the first quarter receiving yards. And I really like that. That'll
Okay.
definitely
There
be
you
added
go.
to parlay.
Okay. Perfect. Uh, Interesting. I didn't think I was going to bring this up, but you believe Seattle's going to dominate this game. That you can get with the largest lead of the game, be over 14.5 at plus money. So do you believe that at any point Seattle will be 15 points or better than the Patriots at any point during this game tomorrow
Uh, I
at
think they
plus
could be,
106?
but my score prediction is only they win by 14. So
Okay.
I don't think they have that total because I think the Patriots keep it close in the first quarter. Maybe Seattle gets a touchdown lead, and then they win by another touchdown by the end of it.
Got it. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're getting to more of the juicier ones here. The ones I like a lot. I like it a lot. These next couple, and these are going to get locked in maybe some point today. And we're not going to let these ones pass. And I believe that these are undervalued. Total players to record a pass over 2.5. So a pass attempt, not even a reception, like a pass completion. Total players to record a pass over 2.5 at plus 132. This means obviously you got Sam Darnold. Obviously you got Drake May. Will make a pass attempt. So you got two already. You have the potential that one of them gets injured and somebody else has to come in and quarterback. You have to believe over the 2 weeks, there's going to be a trick play here or there where, especially the Patriots, where you're going to have somebody in the backfield try to throw a ball, a pass at them. You got to believe with the Seattle defense, and you're preparing for this team, the pass rush, you got to put something in the bag that's in your back pocket to utilize to try to break open a big play. And I think this is a no-brainer. There will be at least 3 people with a pass attempt. What do you think of this? I love this play.
I like it. It's another one that you take because it's a Super Bowl. How many times have we seen another player throw a pass? And like you
Yeah,
said,
last year we
it's
did.
not and it's not like a quarterback has to be injured for a long time. They could just be checking something in the tent for 2 minutes, and that will get you the bet. So I'll agree with you.
Okay, so I love it. I love it. There was a couple other plays I didn't put on here, but there was one I can't recall. Again, this is FanDuel that screwed me because I read it and I can't find it again. Is the Patriots, or I don't know if it's the Patriots specifically, but will there be a flea flicker attempt? You know what I mean? Like, you know how like the running back, his handoff, he throws it back to the quarterback, just an attempt, a plus money. And I'm thinking, fuck, the Patriots do this, and there'll be good money. But the one I do like, I love this one. I think there's real value here. And I heard some professional sports bettors talk that this was not a value play, but they also reference the last 50 Super Bowls, which you got to be a fucking idiot if you are referencing 50 Super Bowls where the game has changed a lot, especially during the Super Bowl era. We've seen a lot more creativity, and that is, will there be a 2-point conversion attempt? Not a successful 2-point conversion, an attempt at plus 158 in 2026 with all the analytics. And, the potential this game gets out of hand, according to you, is there's got to be at least one of these teams going to go for 2 points. An attempt, maybe not successful, but an attempt. That's amazing value to me. What do you think of that? Plus 158 just in a 2-point conversion attempt.
That's a hard one, and
Oh,
it makes more sense. Or sorry, for you, it makes more sense because you think this is going to be like a 3-point game. But for me, where I think the Seahawks are going to lead by a touchdown, and
yep.
then end it with a 2-touchdown lead. Think the Patriots might have to put down four. They'll have to put up 14, and it won't make sense to go for the 2-point conversion. Just in my scenario that I've drawn up, right? So for that reason, I'm gonna go against it.
So
But I
what if
mean,
the
I still see the
Seahawks?
great
Yep.
value. If I thought this
Yep.
game was going to be a close game, then I think so. I just think if you're trailing by 14, you're not going for a 2-point conversion. Uh, we'll have to see.
But what if you have somebody miss an extra point and you're only up by 13? What if you have,
That's true.
you're down by 15 or 16, or you're down by 24 and you got to get 3 touchdowns, and you have to have 2. The math works to me. So I
Yeah.
like it
So wait,
obviously
so
more than you
yeah.
do. Yep. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
All right. And then you have, I like this one. I don't like it as much as the attempt, but at plus 290, you could bet, will there be a successful 2-point conversion? So I kind of like that one. I like the attempt more. Obviously, I don't think you would take it, but I do have this as a possible play for me. Anything to add to that? I know you shit on the other one, so
Nope,
it's I'm just,
I'm just not gonna go with it. It just doesn't fall in line with my view of the game, how it's gonna play out.
doesn't fall in line with your morals and standards of
I
gambling.
mean,
Okay,
I mean, you could somebody could miss a field. You bring up some good points that 100% it could happen. You said it was at plus 130.
The attempt is plus 158, and the 2-point
158.
conversion actually successful is plus 290.
Yeah, the attempt at 150 is not bad. I was making those comments thinking it was 130, but I'll still stay away. But I like what you're doing here, though.
Okay, awesome. All right, and here's an interesting one. I don't know if it's worth it. Again, this is more of a, hey, maybe I'll throw $10 on this. At plus 430 in the first half, will the 2-minute warning, the clock stop exactly on 2 minutes, or or will it be below the 2 minutes? So, for example, if they have to get a snap off, let's say at 2:02, and the play runs for 4 seconds, the 2-minute warning may start at 1:58, or the team will just let it run to the 2-minute warning. So the value is that you're hoping a play is going on as it approaches the 2 minutes. Do you see value in this? Plus 430, that the game and the first half will not land on exactly 2 minutes at the 2-minute warning.
I think it will land on 2 minutes.
Okay, so you wouldn't take that.
No.
Okay.
But I mean 430, I see the value here. I see the Super Bowl excitement play, you got all these yeah.
Yeah. So this would be more of it's like a New Year's Day. You're taking
Fun one. It's a fun
one. Got it. Okay. Both. Okay. So I like this one. I like this one a lot. And I think there's good value here. 2 plus 265. Will both teams have a 1 or more fourth down conversions? What do you think? At plus 265, both teams will at least have 1 fourth down successful conversion for a first down.
I don't think Seattle will.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think they'll be in a situation where they're at, okay. All right. Sacks over 5.5, minus 120. I think there'll be one team's going to have 4, one team's going to have 2. I like this. I like the sacks, quite a few sacks in this game. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think 4 and 2.
Okay.
I don't, yeah. And honestly, even though I think Seattle will be dominant, I'm not going to be surprised if Darnold takes a couple sacks. I like that one.
Okay. And then last 2 I have. All right. This is more of like, hey, I thought this was odd that a team to record first interception. Seattle, plus 100. So, honestly, I'm now thinking, is it to get the interception or throw the interception?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe, okay, let's move past that one because I read it and now I'm questioning what that actually is. Here's a value play here. For plus 132, will there be a punt, not a kickoff, a punt that goes in the end zone for a touchback? It did last year, and it happened early. So if somebody punts it, bounces, and goes in the end zone for a touchback, you tell me that's not going to happen? Plus 132?
Plus 132.
One punt? Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
no,
it
I
happened
think so.
last year, early in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think so. Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, that one, that's a find.
Okay. So
if it's like
one.
132, it should, I think it should be more than a 50-50. So that's crazy.
Okay. Well, I agree as well. So that's what we got.
I can just picture you now. We're at the working dog, and the punt goes in the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just see, it's like, that's the one bet I had. See you later, guys. You know what I mean?
Some guys out right at the coin flip, some guys out right at the anthem to see the note going like longer than 4.5 seconds at the end. And somebody sticks around to the first quarter punt that goes in the end zone, asks for the bill and goes. That's it. All right. So we've come to the end of what I have in my holster of bets. We talked a lot about as many angles we could possibly take during this podcast. Is there anything else you want to bring up about the Super Bowl? Anything we missed? This is the Super Bowl of podcasts. Like, we can't leave any stone unturned. What else should we talk about? Anything?
I think I came at you guys with like 11 of the picks that I really liked today. I tried to make sure it was all covered. So I think we pretty much have it all covered. I would say top tier concrete fact today. Can't think of much else.
Okay.
You know what? There was one thing to mention. Oh, you know what? This is obviously end of the podcast, not necessarily Super Bowl, but Blue Jays announcer Buck Martinez retiring. If you're a Blue Jays fan, obviously I'm wearing the jersey, so I got to mention it.
Yep.
Obviously, that will suck for Jays fans, but not much other to say other than that.
Yeah. Buck Martinez, pretty much generational face for the Toronto Blue Jays over many, many years. So he will be missed. Big time loss for the Jays, but I believe, he has had some health issues. I got to believe that's contributed to him not, wanting, probably not being able to kind of dedicate the time it takes to not only get it to the booth at the Rogers Center, but travel around with the team. So, kudos to him, and he'll be missed. And I'm trying to think of anything else. It's time to get the wings going. It's time to get the, you got to get there to the bar that you're wanting to go to, set it up ahead of time, and get seated early. Don't arrive at the last minute, and go for it, Austin. What else do you got?
Yep. Yeah, it's also coming to my mind now that this is the end of the football season. And we've been on a pretty good ride. We've stuck it out with the Filet-O-Fish Sam Darnold. He got all the way here. We had to endure through the Panthers roller coaster season.
Yeah.
There was so much this year. I think we've been going consistent on the pod for since week 6, 7. 6, 7.
Yeah.
And it's been a good time. I hope obviously next week I'm assuming whatever we have, we'll be recapping the Super Bowl pretty heavily. That will be a lot of fun. But it'll be a sad time not to be able to make football picks for you guys for until next year or next season.
Any because we'll talk more about this, but any quick lessons learned for sports wagering on the NFL that you're going to take into next season and hopefully be more successful?
I guess what I would say is one thing that I learned was I had a lot of respect for these teams. Not respect, but it would be like, hey, don't vote against Tom Brady. Back in the day, I'd be like, don't bet against Tom Brady. And then this year it was kind of like, hey, don't bet against Baltimore. Don't bet against Kansas City. Don't bet against the Bills. You know what I mean? But, just because these teams have these reputations, maybe I need to incorporate more like thinking of today and not yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kept saying every time this was the most unpredictable season, but maybe that's because I was going to the trends of past years and not what's new. Just it seemed like one of the hardest football seasons to predict that I've ever had personally.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially your survivor pools out there. A lot of people got hosed on games you thought were locks, and I know I did. And I can't remember who I lost to, but I know I got hosed. So it's an interesting journey, man. There's only 17 games, 18 weeks, but it feels like the season flips on its head. Like, I mean, if we were talking 2 months ago, we would be talking about the Indianapolis Colts. What are their Super Bowl chances? And they fell off the radar, right? They fell off the radar. And and then the Jets started the season with potentially hope with Aaron Glenn, and they were a laughing stock, a joke, can't even get a pick throughout a whole season. And you had the Patriots came out of nowhere to, when I say out of nowhere, I expected Vrabel to take him to another level and Drake May to improve even more in his second year. But to get to the Super Bowl and then the Bills not to make that run without Mahomes and Jackson, Kansas City, just a mess right now with Mahomes getting injured and trying to fight back to start the year. How long will it take for him to come back? But lessons learned from myself include probably maybe betting the spreads more than anything else instead of a lot of these teasers and, alternate over-unders and trying to put yourself in a good position. But really all you're doing is putting layers of bets that make it harder to win. So I think, when you said earlier in this podcast how you envisioned the game and how you looked at the spread was, I think I set the spread at this. Here's the spread. So I'm going to take, the Seahawks to cover the 4.5. That's probably the sound way of looking at it. Getting ahead of the game, setting your line and seeing if it, actually comes to fruition and sticking with that. and then adjusting and maybe doing power rankings. I mean, I've attempted a couple times to try to record my wagers, but it's hard to keep up, when you're living life. But that's probably the sound way of doing things. And I think going into next year, there's probably a few gambling books out there to talk about better, ways of approaching a game and looking at it from the long term, not the Sunday nighter. How do I win over an 18-week NFL season? And I think that's the look I desire to have, but I never do, because I'm always thinking, oh, fuck, I lost at 1 o'clock. Now I got to get that 4:05 game in. And that's the stupidest way to do things. So I'll be smarter, hopefully. And, upwards and onwards. We'll talk about the Super Bowl next week, the fallout and some of the plays and some of maybe the bets that went our way, some of them it didn't, or some of the things we should have done, which we didn't. And we'll also maybe talk about, the next steps of the podcast of what we'll focus on going forward. We got a baseball preview. We got to set a time. So we'll get offline and do that. And then we got to dive into some other sports wagering. Football season's done. That doesn't mean the gambling world is stopped. The gambling world has stopped turning, because it doesn't. There's a lot of golf on the horizon. The Masters comes up in April. March Madness. You have the MLB season, like we talked about, looking at the futures. But that's a grind. Trying to get through fantasy baseball and all those other sports. Hockey playoffs, Olympics. Olympics are on right now. The Olympic hockey, the Leafs, local topic here. So I don't know if you got any thoughts on where you see the podcast going beyond baseball. I know that's your first love that you want to bring up, but what else? What else is on your mind?
Baseball is definitely my first love, but next week, definitely, we'll have a lot to talk about with the Olympics. I'm not the biggest NHL guy, but when it comes to Canada hockey and the Olympics, like that's top tier sports entertainment to watch. So I'll definitely be following that as well. So that we'll have that to talk about. And even before the MLB season, we'll have to talk about the upcoming, MLB Classic.
Yep.
That will.
Oh, you mean the World Baseball Classic?
Yep, the World Baseball Classic. That will be before the MLB season, and that's not too far. That's if I'm not mistaken, it is March 5th. So, we have less than a month for that. Obviously, maybe not necessarily talked about next week, but maybe a week or two after that, we could get our predictions on the World Baseball Classic if you're interested. But, even though it's a sad time, it's an exciting time because we're on to new things, and, the podcast will still be going. So,
yeah, it doesn't stop. But it's also, we'll keep an eye on preparation to the NFL draft, futures, stories in the NFL. I mean, the betting circle does turn around mostly with the NFL in mind. That's what people love. But we got other things to talk about. We're not one-trick ponies. We're going to be back. We're going to be talking. Hey, we might dive on sports and topics that we are not as familiar with, just to see what it's like to get more knowledgeable and better at these wagering on those sports. So, that being said, we've gone long enough. I think people have enjoyed the last 90 minutes that we've talked Super Bowl. We've talked everything Super Bowl, from entertainment to, rushing yards. So we're all over the place here. I got to thank the audience a lot for sticking it with us. Those on the live stream, shout out to you guys. Those who will hear the audio, shout out to you later on the pod. And then also those who download on our YouTube channel at Overrated Experience and check out our faces, and the video pod version of Do Both. Why not? Get both, the best of both worlds. So enjoy the Super Bowl. Have a time. A lot of people are going to call in sick the next day because they can't handle, that partying that happens during a Super Bowl. So I took it off, so I'll be enjoying myself. Everybody, have a great time. This is the Super Bowl podcast for the Super Bowl. Please listen, share it, follow us on X at Overrated EXPER2. That's Overrated EXPER2. The Overrated Experience is out.
Awesome from Ajax, out.
All right, bye everybody.